Hey guys, welcome back to Dasker Discusses. Today I'm going to have a chat to you about, well, a pretty good TV series I just saw on Netflix. It's called High Score. Let's do this. Hadouken! Now, scrolling through Netflix these days is really annoying because you're always getting, or I am anyway, always getting like, watch it again, and it's usually Step Brothers there or, you know, World's Worst Prisons and stuff like that. But I did come across this gem of a series. It's only 6 episodes, documentary style, obviously. It's called High Score. Now, it's all about, I guess you could say, the progression of video games, but specifically about, well, let's just go through it. 6 episodes. You know, I'm not really spoiling much here, but put it this way. If you're into video games, if you've ever played a video game at all, you'll really enjoy it, obviously. If you're still playing video games, you'll enjoy it immensely. But even if you grew up in that 80s, 90s era of, you know what, I keep going on about it and on about it all the time to my students about how good video games were back then, where you didn't have to like wait for a 50 gig patch update to play a game. Yes, they were more simpler, but I think there's something about this show that really takes me back this nostalgic kind of path. Now, it's been interesting that the last few videos I've done are all about nostalgia, especially the, you know, Nightmare board game and all that stuff, but there's something about this series that I really enjoyed. Now, to put it this way, like the first couple episodes, you know, the first one deals with, you know, the boom and the, you know, the fall of like the Atari, etc. Second episode goes on to about, you know, Donkey Kong and how they came about that kind of idea. The third one talks about all sorts of things about like role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons. I felt that the first 3 episodes, to be honest, were a bit, not flat, but you know, the first one was really good. Second one, okay. Third one, I'm like, this is getting a bit, you know, iffy. It's the last 3 episodes which really picked up for me, and I'll tell you why. The 4th episode, which I thought was pretty awesome, deals with, obviously you've got, you know, Nintendo, and they've got Mario, and like they're basically on top of the market. They're the rulers of like the video game console market during that time in the early 90s. And you've got how Sega in Japan actually had tried to become like, you know, what could they have done to make themselves bigger? And it shows basically how they created Sonic the Hedgehog, the character, how they went around that, how they created the game, how they went about saying that, you know, they needed it to be really fast compared to Mario, where it is quite slow, the actual gameplay, and it was all about speed and how fast can something be created and how fast the console could actually go. Now, I love Sonic the Hedgehog, and I remember having a Sega Master System as a kid and a Sega Genesis, or a Mega Drive as it's known as well. I wasn't really much of a Nintendo kid per se. I was more of the Sega bandwagon, and that's what this episode touches on as well, about that whole rivalry back in the day about Sega versus Nintendo. Were you a Nintendo person, or were you a Sega person? Myself, like I said, Sonic the Hedgehog was the first game I got on the Genesis, and it was amazing, right? Now, I still play it these days, and it's still awesome, but the cultural impact that Sonic had at that time, and even now with Mario, obviously, was huge. And that episode really goes through a lot of details about that. And anyone who, you know, even if you haven't played video games, you know who, you know, Mario, and you know who Sonic the Hedgehog is. So yeah, epic episode 4 for that. Episode 5, this was, again, I told you, the last 3 episodes are epic. Episode 5 deals with fighting games, and specifically looks at how Street Fighter, the arcade game, part 1 was created, which was okay, but then they go into a lot of detail. The creator of Street Fighter goes into a lot of detail about how they made the extra characters, how they built the actual game, and then when it got released. And we all know how big Street Fighter 2 is. There was like so many different sequels, and then there was, you know, of part 2, Alpha, Turbo, this, that, and anyone who's my age can actually, you know, pick who they used to choose in Street Fighter. I used to either pick Ken or Vega, the guy with the claws. You could pull off a few easy moves, Hadouken, Sonic Boom, Yoga Fire, all that stuff, and they're memorable. They're memorable characters, and it was a great episode to show how big Street Fighter 2 got. It actually goes into a bit of detail about the competitions back in the day, Street Fighter comps. Now, I just think I was pretty good at Street Fighter, but looking at these guys, they're pretty epic. But this was a great episode, but there was more to this episode, and the other plus was Mortal Kombat. Yes. Oh my, I love Mortal Kombat. I think I love Mortal Kombat more than Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 I did like a lot, but Mortal Kombat was something else. I remember playing this on the Genesis with the cheat code ABACABB, and it gets you the blood code. But This shows how Mortal Kombat was released, how they did the motion capturing. What is it? Ed Boon and Tobias Noob Saibot. You know, we talk about that as well. They're in there, the guys that made Mortal Kombat, and it shows you how they went about doing it and how they changed the gameplay compared to Street Fighter. It was really enjoyable to watch, and again with Mortal Kombat, I've got the new one, and it is gruesome and it is over the top, but that's the way Mortal Kombat fans love it. And my personal favorite in Mortal Kombat was definitely Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero, Scorpion, but more so Sub-Zero. I mean, it's just, yeah, can't go past Sub-Zero. Episode 6 deals a lot about, I guess you could say, first-person shooters. You know, you have Wolfenstein, they show a bit of that in that, and if you remember Wolfenstein, it was epic. Remember the cheat code, MIL, bang, get you all the guns and keys. But specifically goes on to how they created the video game Doom. Now, you know, I'm gonna repeat myself again, but yes, I was a Sega kid as well, but you know, in the mid-90s, our family got a PC and it came with a shareware version of Doom, which they mention in the documentary as well. And I still remember all the cheat codes. IDDQD, IDKFA, IDSP, ISPOPD. You know what they all are. God mode, all the guns, and clipping as well. And there was another one, IDDT, which was for the maps. You do that 3 times. Doom was epic. It was creepy, it was scary, it was completely different to something like Wolfenstein. And it shows you that progression about how they created it. And then more specifically, how they went about to create the multiplayer system for Doom, which pretty much revolutionized how we game today. I'm still a gamer, I've got an Xbox, and I bought the new Doom, and it is, if you haven't played it, even if you're not a first-person shooter fan, buy the new Doom. It is Doom Eternal. It is actually epic. Here's the poster right here. So, I just want to say about High Score, it starts off on a bit of a lull, but then the last 3 episodes really boosted. If you want to skip the first couple, you want to have a look at the synopsis on Netflix. Have a look at what you think you'd want to watch, but for me, I highly recommend High Score, specifically the last 3 episodes, episodes 4, 5, and 6. Take a look at them if you're a video game fan or if you grew up in that era. You will really enjoy it. It is worth a look. I give High Score, look, it's difficult because I didn't enjoy the first 3 episodes as much as the last 3, so I'm not going to give it a 9 or a 10. I'll give it a solid 7.5 out of 10 for High Score. Definitely worth a watch. Last 3 episodes, do yourself a favor and do it. And as always, guys, if you like this video, please leave a like. Comment below to tell me what you thought of High Score. Hit the subscribe button if you want to say subscribe to my videos and stay up to date. Please hit it. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of Dasker Discusses. Hadouken!